Okay, so here we are all together. And Suzanna, week two's done, or I guess it's not week two, but week two of nutrition. And
Week 4.
what's that? Yeah, we're
Week
week four.
4.
Week four is all complete now. So I want
Okay.
to hear how it's been for you. Like, what's something that you've learned that you want to be acknowledged for? That you've learned from Mickey, you've
Mhm.
learned from me, or learned from yourself.
Um, but to recap for this week, I've learned from the nutrition point of view that like you need to have at least one carb and one protein for me and my diabetes every day. Um, also, portions are important. Sometimes at the restaurants they give you a larger amount than expected, and you think that it's just enough, but there's something underneath. Like they hide it under like uh the plates. Like for example, the pasta that I had last week, I thought this week I thought I had, oh, this is a small amount, but then I dig deeper and I'm like, oh, it's a deeper dish rather than a regular dish. So um I learned that being prepared for things by clarifying with the waitress or clarifying with uh, the server is important, uh, especially when I'm trying to control what I'm eating. And it's more like if I come in and I have an expectation to have just half of the plate, then I should state it to them that that's what I need, and also be more prepared in asking whoever I'm with to help me in my in my decision there, because sometimes when food comes in, right, and you see it and it's like blank in my face, and you just I have this craving, and I just can't stop. So like by putting those restrictions in ahead of time and being mindful of what I can eat and not eat uh, helps a lot in being at the restaurant. Also, I found that certain oils were uh, a big factor in cooking preparation, and this week was also about being aware of what I'm eating, as well as like what I'm taking into my body, and including feelings, and not being able to step back and actually just realize these feelings are just um, not me. They're not attached to me, and I can see and make a choice. And it's the same thing with food as well. I am not the food, and or I'm not like with the food, so I can separate and make a choice between one or the other. So it was a lot more awareness that I've had on nutrition, and for this week it was quite a different experience than what I'm used to.
I just put myself on mute and Mickey on mute just so that we could hear you without background noise. Um, I put you on mute, Mickey. Uh, do you know how to unmute yourself?
I was wondering because I've plugged in. Can you hear a bunch of background noise on me?
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
sorry. Okay, I will make sure. I thought I fixed that. Okay, I will make sure
No,
I
that's
unmute myself.
that's totally fine.
Unmute myself.
I know
Okay.
that there'll be background noise over by me too, so I'm gonna be putting myself on mute, and
Okay.
that's cool. Um,
Okay. Sorry about that.
so Susanna, like I just want to recap. Um, so you've learned a lot this week. You learned like specifically like in your restaurant ventures that it's really important to bring that awareness to the dishes that you're ordering. Like you notice that like wow, like there's a lot of food there, right? Like when you order a dish, no matter whether you're a man or you're a woman, you're gonna get the same dish, right? And that amount of food, is going to be whatever that size is. So with you not knowing how much that's going to be ahead of time, really, because you can't predict, that asking people in your environment to support you and to ask for support from the waitress almost will actually create predictability, right? Is that pretty accurate?
Yes, that's really accurate. And
Cool.
also, I have to add to, this is nothing to do with food or anything, but it's also to do with willpower. And this week, I've also learned that willpower also depends on the purpose that you put in. So throughout my whole life, I've been thinking like, oh yeah, it's a chore, or it's something that I have to do, or something like that. But then when I look into things like for example, if I'm doing my taxes because it is tax season or whatever, prior before, it has to do with looking at it in a different way. Like, why do I want to do taxes? Is it because of the fact that I want to be having that peace of mind, or do I want to be freed from having that? Um, so, uh, so I've been working with a personal trainer and looking into creative ways to think about it. And like, for example, doing the dishes that I've been procrastinating with for a long period of time. It it allowed me to see about what I could do in terms of like my environment. Um, like for example, I live with my boyfriend, and my boyfriend is always active, and he always wants to come home to a nice home, and he wants to relax and be happy. And for me, and one thing that I can contribute is also, getting things done. But then I put so much pressure on myself. But then when I start looking at it in a different perspective, seeing that it brings peace to the home, it brings relaxation, it brings that joy. And when I see it, I feel like I can do it more. And just by chunking the tasks to do it, and um, it just allowed me to become better at what I'm accomplishing. And I'm very happy to have learned that, so that I feel that something like this is not to be missed on this phone call, because it was really one of the highlights of the week.
Wow. And for Mickey, I wanna outline this. Um, so I was on this call. Actually, sorry, Susanna. Can I share the story about
Of
when
course. Go
when I
ahead.
abruptly said, "All right, this is what's happening right now." Do you know what I'm talking
Sure.
about? Okay, cool.
Yes.
So here we are. Susanna and I are on this call. It's her lunch break, and she's got about 30 minutes. She
Yeah.
shows up about 10 minutes late because she was on a client call, and we've got 20 minutes now.
Mhm.
And she's got to eat, and we also have this expectation, or we have this thing where we were going to do chunking. So we, and this is a strategy that I learned in cognitive behavioral therapy. Very valuable. I have generalized anxiety disorder, and so this notion of overwhelm is very prevalent. And so I was like, Susanna, like let's tackle this. So we we take a look at the way that she actually perceives cleaning. So she perceives cleaning as, I need to clean my whole house. And then I ask her, what's that like for you when you say to yourself, I need to clean the whole house? It's overwhelming. Duh. Right? So now, like, what would be the area of your house that would be needed to be cleaned the most? Oh, the kitchen. Okay, so if you say to yourself, like, I need to clean the kitchen, how's that for you? Oh, it's also overwhelming. Great. So we can agree that, like, if you ask yourself to clean the house, that you will now have this experience of overwhelm.
Mhm.
And how long has it been since you have actually taken action? And then, Susanna, how long has it been since you've taken action?
It's been years. No,
So
no.
years,
I mean, probably it has been months or years
months.
or days or something like that. Yeah, depending on what the action would be.
So it's a right.
Yeah.
So it's a long period of time depending on how large the task is. So
Yeah.
this notion that, like, as the task demands increase, the amount of time that we avoid it increases as well, proportionally. That does not work to create a space of peace in your environment for the people you love. It doesn't work. So in this 20-minute call, we break down the kitchen. We break down the kitchen into 7 parts. Then we run out of time. And we come back on the next lunch break. And then we take that kitchen and we find out which area would be the number one area to take on. It was her sink and her dishes. So I said, okay, everything else doesn't matter. We're going to narrow in on the sink and the dishes. And we thought of 3 tasks that we could do. She listed the first task, and I asked, how long will it take? And then we put in the time. Second task, how long will it take? We put in the time. Third task, we put in the time. Then I said, in my little funny way, I was like, okay, now I'm going to start my timer in 3 seconds, and you're going to go do that. Now, if it was like just cleaning the kitchen, that's so lame. And Suzanna alluded to something. We created a purpose. Like, what would be more empowering than just cleaning the kitchen? So we created a context where by her cleaning, she actually can cook food. She can take care of her health. She can bring peace to her environment for when her boyfriend comes home from working a physical job and is tired. That's what she was doing. She wasn't just cleaning the kitchen, right? She was bringing peace to her environment. And so, with that said, she got up. She walked into her kitchen, and her first task being to rinse or to put away the dishes that were on the dish rack. She said it would take her 5 minutes. Took her 1 minute and 40 seconds. Second task, rinsing the dishes. She thought it would take her 5 minutes. It took her 5 minutes. Third task was to clean the dishes in the sink. She said it would take her 10 minutes. It took her 21 minutes to finish half of it. But then something amazing happened. In the evening, her boyfriend, he did some of the dishes. And then Suzanna the next day finished the dishes for the first time in months. Then she went and cleaned the stove. And now there's peace that she contributed to her environment at home. And with that peace, it's now possible for her to cook before not being able to cook. Now, when she goes to then cook, does she just throw all of the dishes aside for them to pile up for later? Or does she take action to contain that peace? And this is where I'll ask you, Suzanna, what happened when you were cooking your banana bread?
So my mom had given me a recipe for banana bread using stale banana bread, and then no stale bread that was like super hard. She says, my siblings were like saying, "Oh, throw it away," but like, anyways, she said you just have to mix it with, with eggs and honey and certain ingredients and whatnot. And anyway, so I made it. After I made the banana bread, there was a whole mess in the kitchen again. And what I ended up doing, and I'm surprised, it just took me 30 minutes to complete all that, clean, have all and put it all in the dish rack. And then by the time I finished, the sink was clean. And I was like, wow, I did this because of the fact of the new purpose that I created for myself, and the new environment being that, like, I want to bring relaxation to the environment. So it really worked out. And thank you, Cam.
Okay.
That's awesome.
So the cool thing that I love about this is like,
I'm going to do that with the rest of my life too. Just as working on with little things as well as my health, and working around in my bedroom and everything, including pool.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Do you find it easier now that you're having that, Suzanna, that you can, like, you're wanting to go in and cook and do things now?
Yeah. It feels more relaxation. Like the stove is clean now, and then also the dishes as well. And then it's like, I feel like, wow, like that renewed energy coming in, and
that's awesome. That's so important
to do. Yeah.
And it's such an important step, honestly.
Huge.
Like, see, this is the thing, is people often have an expectation of themselves where they should be like better or something like this, but then they try to be better inside of an environment that is probable that they're not going to succeed.
Right.
You've got to first acknowledge where you're at. That first, right? So if Mickey tells you to go and make recipes, but you don't, but Mickey has no idea that like you have no dishes that are clean, like it's probable that you're not going to be able to even do that,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
now that's just awesome. Congratulations, Susanna, for doing that, because again, like this is no small feat. This is something that you had put off for, in some cases, years, and in some cases, months.
Mhm.
And like Mickey had just said, you can now feel the actual excitement about creating something in your environment, creating a new recipe. That wasn't possible before. How can that be possible if you've got mess everywhere and no freaking dishes? You can't do it. That's a whole different context for you to actually thrive in.
And I think it's huge that you well, you're able to help your camera with that, but that it was recognized, because I think that's where a lot of I think this is great for people to hear, because I think that's obviously it's a big piece, and people don't realize the link towards that, right? And it's just easier. I'll just go out, or I'll just, you know what I mean. So I think that's a huge step in each process, right? So that's great.
100%.
And I also realized too, I forgot about this one, that um you can't get like healthy with just exercise.
No.
Everything happens in, like, weight loss happens in the kitchen, not the gym.
It's
And
true.
I didn't know that. I
It's
just
true.
realized this, and I was like, oh my god, I have to exercise. But my boyfriend even told me, like, Susanna, it's all about food, not
Mhm.
It is.
exercise. And I'm like, I don't know
Well,
about that.
Well, it's kind of both. But
okay.
Yeah.
Did you get the that was part of that story I sent too. Did you read that one about the guy that came to my gym and was healthy? And well, I mean, he appeared healthy, he looked healthy.
no.
You read that one, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I did, but I believe
Yeah.
our viewers don't know about that.
The who? Oh,
The
oh yeah, yeah. Do you want me to elaborate on that, Cameron, or is it just
Sure. Yeah, go for it.
yeah, just that like I say, I do a standard thing with anybody that comes in. I check blood pressure, all this. But anyway, the guy came in and he was like super healthy, like looked super healthy, I should say. He was cut, he was defined, and I really thought, why are you coming to me? What am I going to do for you? You look good, right? And I don't know if he just sent something that day or what, but I did the standards with him. I could not get his blood pressure right, no matter how much I tried. I changed cuffs, I changed arms, everything, and his blood pressure was through the roof. And so I sent him, I said, I don't want to scare you, but you need to go to the hospital and you need to go right now. I said, I'm scared you're going to have a stroke on me. So he did, and he went to the hospital, came back the next day, gave me a big hug, said they admitted him right away, and they couldn't believe that he was actually walking around still. And, we had a really good conversation, and he did not make a meal. He ate out. All his food was takeout. So it was those high sodium levels, obviously a little bit of hereditary there, but it was killing him. Yet you would not know it seeing him. So it's really important, that you can look healthy on the outside, but not be healthy on the inside. And it goes both ways. I mean, someone can look not so much in shape, but actually be really unhealthy, right? So, I mean, have healthy markers, and they are working out, and it's just body shape is different, right? So it's important to look at all those factors.
Mhm. That's
Thank
amazing.
you. Well, now I realize that fitness is not a destination, but it is a journey,
Yes.
right? As it's such a big thing, and I thought that and I'm looking back at my journals before, and I'm looking at, oh, I want to be healthy, and that's my destination. But it is actually hand in hand with what you do, what you choose to do, and also, most importantly, I learned just recently that cravings can be stopped just by eating healthier. And yeah, so just having that like that craving is good, but it also has that you can get an overcome, you can overcome it with mind, and also um with what is the purpose that we're eating this. Is it to satisfy me, or is it, do I really need it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's something that people go their whole lives without figuring out, just so you know. So I
So
want to
true.
acknowledge that. Right? So like you have to realize that like I'm saying this as somebody who works with clients. Mickey's saying this as somebody who works with clients. This is like for serious, people go their whole lives without figuring that out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, seriously, because
Big step.
people just
Wow.
like to live in ignorance around it. Like life is just happening to you rather than having the choice of having life be something that you can create, you know?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
oh, my cravings run me. Like that is basically what people they walk down the street, they get a craving for a burger, they have a burger. Like and they
Yeah.
see no other option. There's no other option. It's just like, oh, but who's in control here, right?
Mhm.
It's like something
And
I
I,
go ahead.
oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just, when you were saying that, it's so true. Like with medication too, people just believe that, I have to be on high blood pressure. I have to be on, cholesterol meds. I have to be on, and at some points we do, but it's so preventative that we don't. And I have gotten so many people off those meds and been okay. Type 2 diabetes, cholesterol, blood pressure, all those things. But
Mhm,
they accept it as part of aging and normal life, and it's not. It's just not. Unless you have some big hereditary markers there that you can't avoid, then it's a little bit different. I mean, then that's a little more challenge. But most of the time, most people, it's just not true, and we shouldn't just accept it. So good for you.
I think two things that I can just contribute here too is that I realize that you can step out. It's like putting yourself in a box and then thinking that box is part of you. But you can actually step out of that box and make a choice if you're aware. And
mhm,
then the second thing is that just what Cameron was also saying is that um, you're when you have this cravings, you're giving your power away to that craving.
Yeah.
It's like you giving that, oh, that controls you.
mhm.
But to step back and realize that no, I control myself and I choose this
Hmm.
and I choose that. It's not
Yeah.
giving it. I used to give my power away all the time, and I'm learning to take it back. So this is a really
That's
good
what I
thing.
was saying before we were talking. I said it's like that little alien taking over your body, right?
Yeah,
You choose to control it. Don't let it control you.
that's right.
And that context of like how so some people will perceive it as giving your power away, other people will perceive it as like the alien. And a big thing that I just want to illustrate here is that the words that I say and the words that Mickey say, they aren't law. There is
Uh,
a way in which you will interpret what we say for you.
mhm, mhm,
And so the thing is, and again, this is another thing that often people go their whole lives without doing, is that being curious and open about discovering their version of what we're saying. Because
mhm,
see, we're not telling you how to be or how to act. We are
mhm,
Right.
providing an insight for you to discover for yourself what that is, and what you just said is your version of that. Giving your power away to your cravings is how you articulate what Mickey says as the alien controlling you, right?
mhm,
They're the same type of scenario, but you
mhm,
can now experience it for yourself.
mhm,
And when that's occurring right away, if you can recognize that it's happening, then you can choose. Many people, they don't even know what's happening. They can
mhm,
they can they can realize upon reflection that it happened, but what the heck does that do? They're like, huh, the ice cream monster got me. And then I chose to eat 2 liters of ice cream. But what the heck does that do retroactively? You can't go in and siphon all the ice cream out of your body. That doesn't work. Some people try, I guess. But like, you know, so the thing that Suzanna you've pointed to over and over again is
mhm,
something that I preach and have learned over the years to articulate. That's really hard. It's really hard to articulate this to clients. Is awareness, because it sounds so floofy. Like, well, what the heck do you mean, Cam? I just want results. Well, guess what? You can't have results without being aware that you're even doing anything in the first place. You know,
mhm,
if you can be aware that you are being run by something else other than your own choices in the moment, you have
mhm,
absolute power. Because if you are aware, you can also choose to do it. You
mhm,
can choose to have the ice cream.
mhm,
And inside of being able to choose to have the ice cream, You actually also have power because you are powerfully choosing to have the ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Now you don't have guilt. Guilt doesn't now run you, and guilt doesn't then fuel your cravings thereafter. You can actually enjoy it consciously. Now, that is an intellectual interpretation of the experience. That will not do it justice, but you can now understand based on my intellectualizing of that scenario, having lived it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious your thoughts if anything else comes up from me saying that, or is that good?
I think that that's actually really good at what you summed up, and that's very powerful when you know how your body runs. And for me, in my perspective, is that I'm realizing what is going through my mind when I have these cravings, or I'm realizing what's contributing to that, and I'm being more and more aware, and I feel more confident that like than before. Like I've never had this confidence in my food before, or in other things in my life, because I didn't know where that confidence was from. And it's all about awareness
Hmm.
and making those choices, and as well as having that power to control me in that situation. So yeah.
Hmm. So if I can ask you a question about that, up
Mhm.
until now, what have you been pretending?
I've been pretending that everything is good. And that's that's basically what it is. Like, for example, I was having a conversation with the nurse a couple days ago, and I just had to be upfront with her and say, you know what, I haven't been going to the doctor to check my blood every 4 months that I'm supposed to. I'm not taking metformin, and I just felt like this. But the reality is I'm just having to accept that. It is what it is. I need to accept that in order to move forward. I can't keep hiding, putting stuff under the rug and say, no, 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 I can't do this anymore. Like, can't keep phasing myself in terms of, like, pretending that things are working okay, but things are not. It is what it is. In order for me to reach a goal, I need to see what is actually there, what's happening, and then move from that, because I can't keep giving myself lies, right? So
Mhm.
yeah.
So
So
what
but
have you been pretending about yourself?
so I've been pretending about myself that, well, the world has a facade about, you have to show the positive, right?
Hmm.
So I what I'm hiding about that is that I'm not always positive. And yeah, I have my times where I'm negative, I'm up and down, moody because of sleep, and I'm still getting the hang of sleeping early. It's not easy, but as I thought it would be. It's
Hmm.
a choice, and I'm making conscious choices towards my health every day, and strengthening that willpower within myself by giving myself purpose. Like,
Hmm.
example, getting up in the morning,
Hmm.
having that dread because I have to go to work, or I have to do something because I don't like to do it,
Hmm.
because of being lazy about it. But if I have that inspiration, like, which we just started just recently, meditating
Hmm.
every morning, and that gave me the, oh, I'm wanting to look forward to this. I'll get up at, like, you know 30 minutes or like an hour before, and get ready for it, right? And then there starts my day. So having that purpose, and that inspires me, helps a lot with making my choices stronger, and as well showing that vulnerability, that even what I struggle with in terms of my health contributes to everybody, contributes to my family, and contributes to the future generations, and contributes to the viewers that are seeing this as well. And they can relate with that, and they can also go forward with, what type of things do I want to take away from this?
Hmm.
Like, has Susanna's journey have really helped me in my understanding my health?
Hmm.
So I'm no longer afraid of showing what it is, that has me hide things. I prefer to be just authentic and
Mm.
forward. Yeah.
It almost sounds like you have discovered that like not intellectually that you matter, but like I think that you've really discovered that you matter.
Yes. That
You
that
know,
that,
like,
that I have like when you mentioned yesterday that I'm giving this journey as a contribution to others, especially my family. I just lit up like a Christmas tree. I'm like, I always thought to myself, like I was a burden to others because people thought I was annoying or something. And I realized it wasn't because of that. It was because I didn't know how to talk at that time or whatever. And it was their perception of me. But now, I feel like having that authentic conversation and evidence to, how I am right now with my health, just gives a new perspective, a new confidence, a new inspiration to just move forward and strive really for, that new, like that goal was always there, but it's just bringing that new breath of air, or that fuel, that fuel of inspiration to move forward and actually
I
go
think it's
for it,
really
right?
cool that what you're saying and all this stuff for people listening is that this really ties into that emotional piece with food,
mhm,
right? Like
Hmm.
it's all the other stuff that's going on in our life, right? Like we could,
yes,
try as much as we can, but if we have so many other things going on, we have to fix that first, or it's not. All these pieces are so important to get to that end goal. So this is
Hmm.
great.
Yeah, and I thought that the beginning of the week, oh, nutrition. Oh, it's going to be about what my choices are and whatnot. But this is, I actually really enjoy this. This fourth week was really good. I
mm.
really enjoyed it. Yeah.
See, and this is like so something that I'm committed to is meeting people where they're at. See, Mickey can make meal plans for days. I can make meal plans for days. I can like tell people that they should eat a certain grammage of sugar or a certain gram amount of fiber. And you know what? It makes no difference. Makes zero difference. Zero.
So
You know what
true.
makes a difference?
So
You know
true.
what makes a difference? Having a freaking kitchen you can actually cook in, because
Yeah.
all of this like
Yeah.
conversation around the grams of food makes like has zero impact on you if I don't hear from you that, hey Cam, I don't have a kitchen that has any clean dishes. Huh. That's
Yeah.
a very preliminary like thing that if not present, then you have basically shot yourself in the foot, right?
Yeah.
And what about this whole notion about like, your boyfriend being hard labor, wanting to eat out, it being a really great thing for him, and you having a job that is sedentary, right? Where now you have no space to cook, but you have an expectation for yourself to cook at home. So we can interpret this, you can interpret this as a failure because you didn't do what you set out to do. Or we can actually just be honest, be really authentic with the fact that like you don't have peace in your environment and you need to restore that peace first before anything. So
And that's
that
nothing to be shameful of. It's something to work on, right?
that's
Which
right.
you're
Yeah.
doing, and
Cool.
And
that's awesome. And people got to remember that it's not shame on you. It's like what do we need to fix, right? So or help.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, I would like to put input too. When I clean the kitchen now, I feel like there's more love
Mm,
that's in there,
Uh,
because the love
yeah.
that the love for the kitchen and the love for the sink, you know, and then I'm going to bring that all to the rest of the parts of my house. So,
mm.
which I have a messy house currently right now, but that's we're getting there, right?
But
So, yeah,
but
Yeah.
it's a time, and then you start to love your environment, which is
that's
which
right.
is all those pieces, right? So
Yeah. Just sharing that love to the kitchen area, and then bringing it to the rest of the house is something I'm looking
yeah,
forward to. Yeah, and the environment.
that's
Okay.
great.
So I'm gonna end the call here and then we're gonna keep talking, but
Sure.
this is like beautiful. Wow. Like very authentic sharing. And Mickey, is there anything else you want to add before we close off this one?
Um, Yeah, no, I think everything was pretty well said. I mean, it's just doing those pieces and making everything work together. And again, people have to really look at their lives. Like, is yeah, food, like you say, is one area, but why can't you get to that area? It's emotional. There's other things going on in the background. Like, what are you able to focus on? Are you able to focus on the food right away, or is it picking up those pieces and then being able to put those together, that whole puzzle? So it's important. And I get that all the time. People think it's just easy, and that's why they'll do these crazy diets and they'll go on, oh, I'm just going to go on protein shakes for 12 weeks or something, and think that's the answer. Well, it's not. It's just something easy, and it's masking like a band-aid until they always go back. They always go back, and they have learned nothing. So they've got to learn what's going on in their life, and then learn about nutrition as they go, right? And all those pieces.
100%. I mean, I could echo like a billion things like that. I was told a story the other day about this person who every year they have a vacation, and every year they go on the same diet to drop 20 pounds every year, right?
Yeah.
So it's a standard. Like they go on the diet to lose that weight, but every year they have to lose the weight again, right?
Yeah, and that's not healthy for your body, right? The
No, it's
hormonal
not.
levels, everything.
Especially with, I mean, there's a whole other tangent. I'm gonna close it off. I'm gonna slightly tangent on this.
Okay.
Everyone listening doesn't have to listen to it, but everybody for watching and
Thank you.
joining our
Thank you, Mickey.
Thank you.
sharing.